Breathe. We've just been caught again. Jacob recording us talking about Boris, and I'll admit I actually don't mind the man as a person, not as a prime minister. And then we were talking about Matt Hancock. Gemma, what did you say?
Can you imagine him having sex? Track and trace this. I don't know where it came from. I worry about my brain. Like, where do these things come from that are in my brain?
Hilarious. And then producer Jacob joins in with a little voice.
I think you feel a bit sick now, don't you? Sorry.
Oh, the things we talk about before this show. We did actually talk about topics that we were going to talk about. We are sensible sometimes, aren't we?
Indeed. So from Matt Hancock fornicating and Boris to we had a bit of homework for this podcast, didn't we? So to explain, we said it was well over 2 weeks ago now, wasn't it?
It was about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, we said, right, we're gonna get this book and we're gonna read it, because I'd been at yours and I'd seen that you had a copy of this book, and it's Becoming Supernatural by Dr Joe Dispenza, who you love.
I do love.
You proper love.
A proper love, and I mean like pure love. I don't mean I'm sexually attracted to him. I mean I just love him. It's pure love. It's not sexual attraction. Just want to clear that up, because I know I say I'm obsessed with him and I love him, but I don't mean it in that way. No. I just love his mind and the way he communicates things, and he's so clever and intelligent, and I'm always wanting to listen to know more.
So we said, right, we've got 3 weeks, we can read this book. Yes. It's a big book, like it's a good old, how many pages? It's a big, hefty book. It's like 300 and odd pages, but they're big pages. And I'll admit,
quite a lot of, note-taking and practical stuff in it as well.
I am somebody who I cannot, this is funny, I can't break the spines of books. I can't destroy books. I can't deface books. I hate people who write in books. It's just like, why would you do that? For the first time in my life,
you have to.
Look, Claire, I have made notes.
See, you have to. You can't not in his books.
I know. It's erasable pen, so I am going to scrub it out probably at one point. But I have made notes in the book. I do also have a very, very big confession. So what I did is I downloaded this on the Kindle app on my iPad, because I don't take my phone to bed, but I do sometimes take my iPad to bed, put it on flight mode, and started reading it on the Kindle late at night. Couldn't get into it. Like those first few pages where he's talking about his theories. So can you explain for our listeners, if they don't know who Dr. Joe Dispenza is, what is he famous for?
He's a famous doctor, and he still is a chiropractor, but he's also a meditation teacher, but he teaches people the science of meditation and how it can help cure the body and the mind. So he has delivered seminars and retreats all around the world, where people will come, 500 right up to I think 2,000 or even more. So they come to attend usually a 5-day or a 7-day retreat. Some people just go in because they want to, know more, learn how to meditate, and it's all about, a lot of people will go with physical illnesses. But and they cannot cure the physical illnesses. They've tried everything, and then they've heard about Dr. Joe's work and how he explains it. So he instills the belief in people about the benefits of meditation. He has a university, I think it's a university in Australia that he works with, that follows him around the world, and they take all of their equipment that measures the brain, and then he's got his case studies and his testimonials, where people will come who can't see, who've lost their hearing, they've got cancer, skin diseases, every disease under the sun, and within 5 to 7 days they've healed themselves.
So I'll read out a bit. It says, students who've done my various meditation practices over the years have learned how to change their brainwaves, as well as sharpen the type of focus it takes to be present long enough to produce measurable effects. We've discovered an instrument that can measure those changes. And again, I'll show you some of the research in this book he means. We've also measured several different biological markers related to changing gene expression, a process known as making epigenetic changes. In this book, you will learn that you are not, in fact, beholden to your genes and that gene expression is changeable once you begin to think, act, and feel differently. During our events, student leaves their familiar lives for 4 to 5 days to instead spend time in an environment that doesn't remind them of who they think they are. In doing so, they separate themselves from the people they know, the things they own, the automatic behaviours they demonstrate in their daily lives, and the places they routinely go. And they begin to change their inner states through 4 different types of meditations: walking, sitting, standing, and lying down. And through each one of these, they learn to become someone else.
So it's about leaving the old personality to create. And he talks a lot about people living in survival mode and in fight or flight. And there's constant stresses and modern day stresses now, which is what I talk about in my teachings because of what him and a lot of other people, scientists, are saying. And the science behind what the brainwave state and how we can change our brainwaves, go into the subconscious mind, and then neuroplasticity and make new synaptic connections in the brain, because thoughts are just things.
Well, I'm so glad you said that, because I told you I made notes.
Yes.
But I should point out, I've only read the first chapter. I really struggled. It's
a lot of information.
Yeah.
It's a lot. And I've watched... I've listened to his book, You Are the Placebo. So there's some similar. He repeats himself in a bit, because I've heard some of it before in this book, and I've watched him on Gaia.
Explain what Gaia is, because my subscription's just run out and I can't decide whether to reinstate it or not.
I love it.
It's
about
explain.
£80 for the year, isn't it? So it's a personal development. I class it as a personal development channel, but it teaches us about spirituality. It teaches about the psychedelics. It teaches us about there's stuff around like aliens and other lives and just different ways of thinking other than what we're told in mainstream.
It's funny as well. Gaia is
identities.
Now, it's available through Amazon Prime as well.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So if anybody is listening thinking, I want to get this, or you might have a subscription already with Gaia. I've cancelled my subscription on purpose, because when you buy it through the website, it's different to when you buy it through Amazon Prime. So I've not really used it because I've not been able to access it on the telly. It's something that I can only access it on the iPad or the laptop, and I'm not in that right environmental I'm not in the right environmental space to watch something on my laptop. I watch things on the telly, I do my work on my laptop kind of thing.
I get what you mean.
So I've cancelled my membership that was due to renew, and I will get it again, but on Amazon Prime.
Oh, that's good to know, because I didn't know that.
It's
because
different.
I watch it on my phone. That's the only thing, because I was thinking, why isn't it on Netflix? Because it's an app, isn't it? So I'll do that then next time, because I use it a lot, and they've got meditations on there, they've got yoga on there, there's absolutely all kinds on there. And he's got a 13 episode program called Rewired, and he takes you, it's like a half-hour episodes each one, and he takes you through the stages of what it does to the brain, what it does to the body, the different meditations. He talks about the pineal gland, one of the glands inside the brain, and how that is like a receptor. Once you get that set off, it sends electromagnetic signals out, and it highes your vibration, and you are sending messages out to attract in what you want, which is why we said we wanted to talk about manifestation as well, didn't we?
Because you talk about him as like the meditation guy. I know
it's both. Well,
I've described him as the energy guy. So I've read Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, which is another of Joe Dispenza's books. And what I really loved about that was, I'm somebody who once upon a time, about 10 years ago, read The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. You must have read The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. This book was quite transformational for a lot of people because it explores the law of attraction. And the law of attraction in a nutshell is, if you get up and tell yourself in the morning that you're going to have a shit day, do you know what? You're probably going to have a shit day. Yeah. But if you get up in the morning and tell yourself that you are grateful for everything that you have already in your life, and you start to visualize a future as if it's already happening, then you can attract those things to you. And that book was great, but for me, it felt a bit flawed. And I write about this in my own book, and it's the one part of my book that people always comment on. So in The Secret by Rhonda Byrne, she has this phrase that you should ask, believe, and receive. So ask for what you want, believe you've already got it, as if you've already, it's already happened for you, and then receive all the abundance. And while that's great, and I have done the vision board workshops, and I've, sat and wanted things and wrote out, there's a famous thing you can do where you get a check that you can print out and write a check to yourself. Have you done that as part of The Secret? You can go online and do that.
That's what thing you did, didn't he? The actor. Funny.
Jim Carrey.
Jim
Carrey wrote a check. Lots of people have done it, have wrote a check to themselves. So while that's great, and I had a check on the wall for ages and I used to stare at it. While that's brilliant, I think there's a part that's missing, and it's not act, believe, receive. It's act, believe, make a plan.
Do it. Take action.
Take action.
Don't just sit there and think
then receive. You can't just sit on your arse and things are going to come to you. Although arguably some people would say that you can, which is great, and that maybe some people would argue against me and say, you're trying to control too much and you should just let it flow and be all that. But what I loved about Joe Dispenza's teaching in Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself was, he said, when you actually think about anything in your life, like we're in Liverpool Podcast Studios right now. Beautiful place. Jacob's done a boss job here, haven't you, Don?
We love it.
And we've got a plant, for example, on the table. Is it fake or is it real? It's fake. There you go.
Real ones are real, though.
Yeah, we've got some real ones behind us.
It
But
like an IKEA showroom.
it is like an IKEA showroom in here.
See that, Jared?
It's beautiful. So taking the fake plant on the table that's in front of us right now, actually, when you break that down to its first, most basic, most tiniest form, it's energy, it's atoms, because everything is energy. You are energy, I'm energy, the table's energy, that light is energy. And I remember reading that and being like, whoa, that's just blown my brain.
We're not physical matter.
Oh my God. And in that book, he's got some diagrams about like electromagnetic fields and how they work. And it was Jim Rohn, the famous motivational speaker, who said, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Love that saying.
Joe Dispenza goes into this in this book, and he says it's sometimes, like we'll say things like, oh, she's on my wavelength. Because energy is wavelength, and she's on my wavelength. And when you go through a period of personal development and change, sometimes that can rub people up the wrong way who you've been around for ages. Let's say it might be family members or your partner, for example. And I remember when me and my husband went through a really, really bad time and a bad patch. And I remember describing us as a couple at the time like 2 magnets that were repelling against each other. And in Joe Dispenza's book, he basically uses that example that if you level up your life, if you change your thinking, if you connect to yourself, and you are actually actively changing the energy within you. So you give off a different vibe. And I know myself, when I lost the plot and lost my marbles, that kind of time, like 2016, 17, 18, my energy was different because I was broken inside. And people could tell. And people could feel it. And then getting better and working on myself now, when I see people, they're like, oh, what, they'll say things like, you're radiant. And I genuinely believe it's that energy, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. And that's one of the things that I think drawn me to him and his story, because he broke his back, didn't he? He broke his spine.
I didn't, because I've only read chapter 1, I don't know.
Yeah. So he healed himself. He was a chiropractor, and in the 80s he was in a bike race, fell off his bike.
I do remember this,
And because he's tells the story in quite a lot of seminars, but on the programme Heal, that's on Netflix, that I'd highly recommend. And he was told that he would never walk again.
Right.
And they said, we can operate on you, and we don't think you're going to be able to walk. It's going to be like a metal rod in your spine, all of that stuff. And he was like, there was just something in me saying no. And he said, and I was going against everything as a doctor I believed in, but something wasn't right. And I said no. So he went home. He sent home, couldn't walk. I was lying down, and he decided to visualize and just meditate on his spine, mending vertebrae by vertebrae. And I think it was within 8 weeks he was getting, or 6 weeks, he was getting movements in his hands.
Wow.
He could sit up by 12 weeks. I think, or 10 weeks he was walking, 12 weeks he was back on a bike.
That's incredible.
After being told
That's
you're never going to walk
absolutely
again unless you
incredible.
have an operation. So it's all in the mind.
See, it's funny, like my background in broadcasting makes me wary sometimes about talking about these stories. You know,
Yeah.
you can't make claim that you can't use the word heal, you know, in advertising campaigns, for example,
Yeah.
cure, heal, all those kind of words, you know, the advertising standards agency are just like, you're not running with that. And I think that part of me that's always been wary of, you've got to kind of be able to back up your claims. And that's why, you know, there might be people listening to this thinking, oh, what a load of tosh. And but what I like about him is that he's actively trying to bring that medical and that spiritual feel together, which is nice. And my husband is somebody who, you know, like, I'll talk about this kind of stuff. And he's like, oh, fuck off.
Mark's this, Mark's the same. But he does listen to Joe when I've got him on. Because of the way he explains the science behind it, because then that's the practical, logical side, that there's evidence as well.
That's one of the reasons why I want to put Gaia back on the telly on Amazon Prime, so we can watch it together.
so interesting.
Because when I talk about this stuff, he's like, "Oh, piss off, you know, go and drink your unicorn horn tea and you know, whatever, fly your flaps to the universe and all this," like he says to me all the time, because he just thinks I'm bonkers.
Yeah.
But there is kind of like. And I always use this example. Let's say you want to buy a white Range Rover, a white Evoque. All of a sudden, you'll see them everywhere on the road, won't you?
Yeah.
And people will identify with that. People will have done that themselves. Like, they want something, then all of a sudden, oh, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
It's not everywhere.
It's just like that's
It's
your
just that,
focus.
Yeah,
Yes.
you've now brought that into your consciousness,
Yes.
and that's why you're seeing those things. And that's where I think manifesting, energy, all that, I think you can take the hippie, trippy, clappy bullshit that I love to one side and make it a bit more sciencey, and realise that asking for something, believing it's already happened, and then putting a plan of action together, taking action and receiving it. I truly believe that if you put that intention out there, that this is what I want to go for, I think your brain, without you realising, makes those connections and looks for those opportunities. And, you know, like professional footballers, for example, will actively work with sports psychologists to visualise scoring that goal, because the brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined.
That's right.
Which is why when you have a dream, sometimes you're like, was that real?
Yeah.
Did I dream? Did that actually happen? Or, you know, did I shag Claire's dad? No, definitely didn't. Claire's dad's fit. That's all. Told her that last
She
week.
messaged me the other day and said, "Is it?" Yeah. She said, "What was it?
I
Is
just
it
put, I would
wrong,
bang your
right?"
dad. So
71 years. Do you know what? I haven't even told
well
him.
fit, honestly.
I'll,
Met him, I don't see it.
He's well fit.
he was in a scruffs when you seen him. He was doing jobs in the house.
Just on Gemma likes it.
Loads of girls say that. He is actually. He was
He's
a
very
He is a
handsome.
handsome man.
Very handsome.
I'll
So
tell
yeah,
him tomorrow he's
weird
coming
dreams
round.
aside, off on that really random. I told you my brain works in weird ways.
Weird.
Really sorry. Really
You're
sorry.
not the first. It's fine.
But manifesting, and I feel like throwing your intent and your energy behind something can help you look for those opportunities to achieve it. And what I wanted to ask you was, have you ever manifested anything? Because I've got a really weird and wonderful story to share.
I've got clients that I've worked with who've manifested things. Loads of clients that have manifested things. But reading that, listening to that book and making notes from it and reading it, he says that everything we've got in our lives, we've manifested it.
Yeah, of course we have.
We've manifested it. Whether it's good or bad or neutral, we've manifested the life that we've got today by the thoughts that we have, because the thought creates the emotion that then creates the behaviour that then creates the result.
Say that again. Say
So
that again,
you
because
have
that's really powerful.
It is. So you have a thought, don't you?
Yeah.
Which then a thought will create an emotion. So whether it's like a thought about, you know, oh, I feel like pizza, and I go, because my emotion for pizza is I love pizza, and then my behaviour is I'm going to get pizza, and then I eat pizza as the result, and then I probably put a pound on in
Who
weight
cares?
because of that. But yeah, and another way of explaining it is he really explains it dead simple. He says, you need to go to the toilet. In your head, you go, okay, I'm going to work out from this seat and I'm going to go to the toilet, wherever that toilet is in the other room, so that you can go to the toilet. He said, so you're moving yourself through space and time to get to the toilet. He said, so you're manifesting yourself going to the toilet. However, because we live in this reality, this 3D reality, I think it is. Is it 3D? I always get mixed up with these dimensions. We think that everything we have to really work hard to get everything, and it's like we have to go after it. And he's just like, we don't. And that's hard for me because I am a control freak, a bit like you. We like planning, don't we? But the more you let go and the more you surrender, and I know Abraham Hicks talks about this all the time. She says, stop going upstream, stop rowing and paddling upstream. There's no need for you to work hard. You're going against the tide. Just let yourself go down, let go of the oars and just go with it. Just go with it and say it. But the time that we're living in now, it's all about money, technology, the next best car, the next best pair of trainers. We're bombarded with these adverts, aren't we? So we're seeing these things that we want and we don't necessarily need them. It's nice to have nice things. Yeah. So, yeah, manifesting. Have I ever manifested anything? Yeah, I've manifested the life I've got today.
But have you ever done anything specific?
Specifically? It's funny because we had a big extension in our house, and as a kid I always used to say I want a house with a big square living room facing a field. Big square living room facing a field. And living rooms aren't really square, are they?
No.
They're like usually a bit longer. So it was just one day, I think we'd been in our house. The house had been built for a year. And I was sitting in the living room and I was just having a cup of tea and I was like, it just dawned on me. It must have come off from me subconscious of, oh God, I've got a square living room and a field in front. And I know, do you know what I mean? And I was like, loads of little things that I used to say when I was a kid have happened. But I know that's just dead basic. It's a square living room and a field, but I've got exactly what I want. And what he said is having that intention and having those elevated emotions that go with what you want. Mm-hmm. And don't worry about the how it's going to come or when, because it will just come. Some it comes quicker than others, depending on the belief and that must be the signals behind it. I don't know. So that's what I did with a client the other day. He had a goal. He wanted to. So the goal, I said, put it down on the board as to what one of Dr. Joe's techniques. Put your goal down on the board. Write the name, not the name of the goal, just the initial of the goal, and then list of all your intentions as to why you want to do it, and your intention about it. What's it gonna feel like? Elevated emotions. Now list all the emotions of how you're gonna feel when this goal is reached. And it was things like, I'll be free, I'll be able to work less hours, I'll be able to give back to the community. So, and how he feels with it. So he sat with it, and it's about meditating on the intention and the feeling, the elevated emotions. So then again, your brain is telling the body that this thing has happened, and to meditate on that and just keep doing that. That's one of the meditations in the book. So he's working on that this week, and he was like, this is so powerful. But you do it for a different goal. You can do it for anything. If you want to go for a new job, if you want to move house, if you want to look for your new man, new woman, new whatever. But just one more, actually, I manifested Levi, my dog.
Your dog?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because Nuka wasn't good. She was depressed in lockdown. And I said to Mark, we need to have another dog. She needs a partner. So I went to bed. I was really anxious about her because she was so quiet. And I just said to the universe, will you please send us another dog? The next morning, Mark shows me a picture of Levi. I went, what do you think of him? And I was like, what? He said, when you went to bed last night, he said, I looked and I found this. So as I said it, I think Mark literally must have found him. And he is perfect.
Oh, that's lovely. That's really nice.
So there's loads. What about you?
So it was about 7 or 8 years ago now. And my friend was into juicing. And Jason Vale. Do you remember Jason Vale?
Yeah, I've done them.
So Jason Vale,
yeah,
Jason Vale was like famous for, it probably still is, I'm not on his radar anymore, but Jason Vale had written a few books about all sorts of health things, and he'd healed a lot of, I use that word healed, but he had improved a lot of his health markers and certain chronic conditions that he had through juicing. So he was like the celebrity he looks a bit like Lee Evans, the comedian, and he was the celebrity go-to. He was always in like Closer magazine and Take a Break, and he opened a juice retreat in Portugal called Juicy Oasis, and all the celebs were going. So it was in all the magazines and it was in the Daily Mail, like online every day. And I was like, oh my God, I want to go there. And I bought a juicer and I started juicing. And my little boy at the time was probably not even 2 when I was giving him juices and stuff and feeling like smug earth mother, you will have your nutrients, drink your wheatgrass and your spinach smoothies and all this. And so I was just like, I really want to go to this Juicy Oasis. And I'm going back like a few years now. The prices weren't online, but you could request a brochure. So the brochure comes through the post. It's like this, like a little pamphlet. Yeah. And the prices on there were just not astronomical now, but back then for me, you know, somebody who's just come off maternity leave, we'd not been in our house long, and it was like, oh, I could never justify spending. I think it was like $2,000 for the week to go, and without my family, I was like, I can never justify spending that. And I just started, it was around the time I'd read The Secret and something called, can't think about that one now. Can't remember what the other one's called. But it brought into my awareness that you could manifest things and you could achieve things if you wanted to. So I cut out the pictures. Yeah. And I put them on a little board in my office with my check that I'd printed out from Rhonda Byrne. And I started to imagine myself already there. Yeah, yeah. And I went as far, now this was back in the May time. Yeah. I went as far as blocking off a week in my diary, which was the first week in October. I blocked it off in my diary. Yeah. And even when, like, later on in the year, people were saying, oh, can you do that date? I was like, no. Why? I'm going to the Juicy Oasis. Oh, have you booked to go there? No. But I'm going to go there and I'm going that week. And I'll never forget, like, some of my friends like, you are fucking insane. I was like, I'm telling you, I'm going to go that week. And I told my husband as well, and he was just laughing at me. I'm the type of person that when you go to like a charity do and you buy raffle tickets, I used to write on the back of raffle tickets, I'm grateful for the magical outcome that I will win this prize. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I have won so much stuff. Honestly, I've won so much stuff at charity raffles, and Sean just laughs and he's like, oh my God, do your witchy thing where you make things happen. He calls it, my magic. So back then, I just started getting into meditation, and I'll never forget, I was sat downstairs cross-legged in that typical stereotypical mode of like, thumb and middle finger together. Is that what I don't know what you call it. Legs crossed. And Sean comes downstairs, he's like, what the fuck are you doing? I said, I can feel the sun on my face. I can see the lake in front of me. The beautiful white stones are to my right. And I could see, honestly, I swear I was there. Yeah. I could see this place, right? Yeah. So a few weeks later, Jason Vale announces that there's a competition to win a week at the Juicy Oasis. And all you had to do was send like a 30-second video of how, of what you thought of juicing, right? I used Blake at the time. And there is a video, and I think it might even be on YouTube, so I'll have to get producer Jacob to edit it in, right? Blake's only a toddler. I give him this green juice, and I say to him, what do you think of that? And he goes, it's tasty and I love it. What did you just say about your smoothie?
It's tasty and I love it.
And I sent that to as my entry and said, thanks to your juicing, you're not just changing my life, but you're changing the life of my little boy. And it makes me feel great as a mum that I'm able to give him the nutrients he needs, because it's tasty and he loves it. So that's what I sent. Anyway, like weeks and weeks went by. But as soon as I'd sent the application in, I was there meditating.
Yeah.
I've never meditated or wanted something as hard in my life. I wrote my journal as if I was already there, dated the week I was going to be there. You name it, I did every manifesting trick in the
You
book.
best tell me that you got there.
So I go to the Brink.
Please.
You know the Brink in Liverpool, which is the alcohol-free bar.
No.
Oh,
Why
it's
would
fab.
I know that? Mind you.
Because they did good juices.
Oh,
So I'm in the
we'll have
Brink.
to go.
Yeah, I'm in the Brink working.
Yeah.
I've got my juice in front of me, and I get this email. Ba-ding. Hi, Gemma. My name's, I think it was David from Juicy Oasis. Can you ring me, please? And I was like, oh my God, I've won. Oh my God. And I was just shaking. Anyway, I ring him and he's like, hi, Gemma. Just want to say, congratulations. You're our winner. And I was like, I know. And he says, okay, does somebody already been in touch? I was like, no, I've manifested this. I've been meditating. I've got a vision board. I knew this was going to happen. Right? And I can hear this guy like, what is going on? Do we actually want this woman in the Juicy Oasis? Is she mentally stable?
Oh, that's amazing.
At this point, it's like July, August time. And he says, right, okay, so now we need to get you booked in. Now, unfortunately, we've just done a lot of press. You might have seen we've been in Closer Mag. I was like, yeah, I know. I've seen all the celebrities there. Simon from Blues Bin. Like, dead excited. He said, so, unfortunately, it's going to be a while, but the only date that we've got available, I went, don't tell me. Is it the first week of October? And he went, yes. Are you sure somebody's not phoned you? I went, no, I've blocked it off in my diary. I've told you, I've manifested this. And it was the exact dates I bloody put in my diary. Anyway, I ring my husband and he's like, you're lying. You're just lying. I'm like, I promise you I'm not. Because he'd seen me do all this and was like, she's insane. And yeah, it was.
And
it
did
worked.
you go?
And I went.
And was it amazing?
Yeah, I had to share. I shared a room with a lady, so she was like a single occupant, and she was lovely. A lady called Heather from Scotland. It was ace. I had a couple of colonic irrigations, which wasn't fun.
I had one of them last week.
Yeah, but it was great. It was a really good experience. Really good experience. Not something I would advocate now. I'm not a big fan of juicing for extended periods, but at the time where I was at the time, it was incredible, and I felt very lucky and extremely grateful.
Absolutely. Yeah. That is and I love it when you hear stories like that, because then again, it just instills that belief. What you think is what you create. It really is. And you don't even know how you're going to get it. I know, just one more person, Get Rich Lucky Bitch. Denise Duffield Thomas. She used to manifest loads of competitions. In her book, she talks about that. She was broke, she was skint, but she just used to enter all kinds of competitions and believed that she'd win them. And then I think she won like a 6-month luxury trip around the world with a partner. And that was when she started going, this shit is real. And obviously now she's a multimillionaire teaching people how to, with the money mindset, and how to believe in self-worth and money. It's
funny that as we're talking about it, I am kind of, because I've fallen out of love. Not fallen out of love. I find it very difficult to meditate these days. I find it very difficult to actively practice manifesting, visualising a future. And I think a lot of that comes because I'm dead happy. I feel very blessed and very grateful, and life's amazing. And I feel guilty and greedy for wanting more. So I think that's actually my block at the moment for meditating and manifesting and things like that.
In the manifesting, I do that in my meditation. So there's a bonus in there just around manifesting.
In your meditation course,
it is just about, just pick one goal, just pick one passion or one dream. Doesn't have to be anything major. It could literally be, losing £2 by the end of the week. It could be going for the dream job. It could be going for the millions, or it could be going for a new house, or, whatever. But just pick one and visualize sitting. It's something that you really want, that you really feel that it's a passion. And then the how and the why, when, it will just happen. But not to feel guilty about wanting more, because you deserve it. And just because you want to receive more doesn't mean that you're being selfish. It's just you'll inspire other people to know that they deserve more, because there's this thing, I don't know what it is, but there's this belief still there of you have to work hard to get
I'm
good things.
guilty. I'm guilty of that. I have that belief.
When you do have money, you're not a nice person. Why?
Emily Williams, who has a course
so many people
called
who've got money are so kind.
Yeah.
And don't tell people what they do. They give so much to charity or time and energy, but money and things, it just gives you freedom and choices to be able to do what you want. Raise your vibration and help others and inspire others. That's it.
That I did a course years ago, Emily Williams, I Heart Money, it was called. And I'd never come across that concept before of, people who have money are evil or bad, or, if you've grown up in poverty or so, for example, and you might have seen how the other half live and always been a bit maybe resentful about it. So it kind of, can change your money mindset. But I do feel genuinely blessed of what I have in my life. But I did something, I think it was with you actually, back in September, October time. Kate Davis, who was on a mastermind with you, did a challenge, and she had a group, and she did a challenge with the vision board. Yes. And it was a little bit different, wasn't it? It wasn't a vision board where you would cut things out and stick things on. She asked us to come up with different areas of your life and write some things that you wanted to achieve. And she called it your one big juicy life, didn't she? Yeah. And I have that in a frame next to my desk. And
that's your daily reminder.
Well, ahead of this podcast, I looked at it. It's not even been a year since I did that, and I cannot believe how much has already been achieved on it. I was really shocked.
Yeah, I'm the same. I did that with you. I did that in here, a thing, and I showed one of my clients my vision board the other day to show them what it looks like, because I just did it on a flip chart with my name in the middle and all of the stuff around it, and I was going, oh my God, that's, and loads of things have happened. Yeah.
So if anybody...
This podcast was on, was on
podcast was on mine as well. Thanks, Jacob. So, for anybody listening,
I'm working with certain people and things like that. And,
It's
Dr Joe Dispenza's on there.
Yeah, well, we will definitely, talking to Dr Joe Dispenza, we will definitely try and go and see him. But for anybody listening to this who might be inspired, this is the book that we were supposed to read. Did you read it? I didn't ask if you read it.
I'm halfway through on the Audible.
You are good.
I'm listening to it when I'm on walks with the dogs, in the car, and ironing. It's like my little...
Oh my goodness,
ritual.
I've just realised that I didn't even know there's like a section in the middle with lots of data, including brain scans and wow.
So all the evidence is there.
That's incredible.
He has people getting up on stage, because some of the people, he doesn't know them. They've just been following him, and then they come and tell him the story, and then he's like, will you share your story with these people?
I'll just point that to the camera. There you go. That is incredible. And
so interesting.
I am definitely going to actually pull my finger out and read this properly, because it's not just about manifesting. It's about learning to learning to realise that your thoughts, like you were saying before, whether you're thinking good thoughts or bad thoughts stuck in your past, your brain doesn't know the difference, between what's real and what's imagined. So one of the examples, and trigger warning, I'm about to talk about suicide. The first example in the first chapter is a lady called Amanda. That's right, isn't it? And her life's great. She's got 2 children, and
is it the partner?
Yeah, her husband.
And she got really ill.
Yeah, her husband takes his own life, and he'd also left her in a lot of debt that she had to sort out. So she lost her home. She's left with these 2 young children, and a lot of her trauma manifested as physical ailments, including like cancer, paralysis from the waist down, the loss of bodily function. It's horrific. But she wanted to make a change, and it took her a few years. But through actively focusing on her thoughts, her stress levels, and doing a lot of that trauma, for her, she was a psychiatrist anyway, wasn't she? So she understood what was happening. But it's just, this book is really, really good. And if you've ever been somebody who might have been stuck in thoughts of your past, I've been somebody definitely who's been stuck in thoughts of the past. It's really positive, and I think it provides a lot of hope for people. It's worth a try, definitely.
It gives hope, and to know that we've got choices and we can choose.
You can choose how you feel.
I mean, it's, and I took I think as well that the feel thing is that don't, be positive, be positive. Some days you don't want to be positive.
No, and
Some
that's
days you
okay.
feel sad or you do feel anxious, but then notice that and just observe it and feel into it. And then understand why. So then you can move on, as opposed to trying to just push it away and go and do something to distract yourself, because that's what a lot of people do. And then people get scared when they say, sit down, close your eyes. And people go, oh no, we'll get thoughts. No.
So
there's
true,
crazy
though.
thoughts. And it's
Yeah.
like, just sit with them. They're just thoughts. It's okay. So for people to do that, because a lot of people, that's why I see people turn to drink and drugs, and porn and gambling, because it numbs this for a bit, but then it gets you, spirals out of control. So just watching your thoughts, noticing them, and know that they're just thoughts, and notice how people, place, and things make you feel, and then you know that you can do something about it, and then you tell the body that it's a new situation. Imagine what you want it to be. And the body believes what the mind tells it. So you can cure yourself.
Yeah.
And I know that sounds outrageous to some people, but his work and a lot of other work now, studies show the mind.
Definitely.
It's a really good.
On the flip side of the opposite end of that, manifesting, if you want to actively practice this, no, you don't need to go and get a load of newspapers and magazines and make a scrapbook vision board. Just write it out as a list, like Claire did on a flip chart, I did on a piece of A3 paper. Write down different areas of your life and just write a list of what it is you want to achieve. And like Claire was saying, why you want to achieve it and how you'll feel when you've achieved it. And it's actually a really lovely, positive exercise to do. It really is. And so we are Honest to God podcast. We've been talking about Becoming Supernatural by Dr. Joe Dispenza. You can also watch his work, including the Rewired series on the TV channel, which is Gaia. It is a subscription service. It's about £80 a year. If you are going to get it through Amazon Prime, because then you can watch it on your telly as well as on your phone and your tablets. Thank you for listening. I'm Gemma.
I'm Claire.
And we'll be back next time.
Thank you.